Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I will be filming my wrap-up of March, and this month I've read a total of 11 books, and I know you will be disappointed from what I will be telling you now, but don't judge me, it was a rough month for me. But I didn't read a single physical book. I know, but it's been a rough month. That's my excuse, so bear with that. So yeah, I will be telling you all about it and my ratings and if I like them and all of that. And yeah, let's get started. So the first book that I've read, it's Baby for the Boss Soul by Nadia Lee, and this is the first book in a series. It's about 7 brothers, and each brother gets their story, and this one it's about, I think, the oldest or the second oldest, I don't really remember. His name is Emmett, and he owns a company with his brother, and I think it's all about finances and stuff like that. I'm not sure, but Amy, she works under him. You know, his brother and Emmett have like separate teams, and she works for his team, and she has worked for him for 2 years, and he's always been mean to her, like, oh, redo the whole task even if she did it well, and she's always been pissed about that. But she obviously wanted to prove him wrong, because when he interviewed her, he kind of said a comment that made her think that he didn't really want to give her the job, but he did anyways. So she wants to prove him wrong. One day there's a moment of weakness and something happens, and from there she kind of is navigating if she wanted to kind of start like this relationship with him, because she's about to quit her job. So she's like, oh, it's only going to be for sometimes, then I'm going somewhere else. But he doesn't know that. So the book is really good. I give it a 4 stars. I really liked it. I feel like it's the perfect way to start the series, and I love the dynamic between the brothers. I loved a lot. Like, this book was really good. So the second book, it's called My Grumpy Billionaire, and it's also by Nadia Lee. And this one, it's about Griffin and Sierra. And Griffin, he's a teacher in finance, I'm pretty sure, at university. And Sierra owns a sex toy company that was her grandma's, and she passed away, so she left it to Sierra. And Sierra was married for 2 years or 3 years to this guy. She married him when her grandma passed away. Obviously she was in a moment of weakness, and after 3 years she realized that her husband wasn't really what she thought. So she divorced him, and she's at the beginning of the book, she's newly single, so she's decided to take a trip with her friends to celebrate that she's divorced and single. So she goes to another city, and there's a party. It's a mask with masks, the party, a ball type of thing, a masquerade ball, and she meets this guy. They have an amazing night and all of that, and then a couple of they don't exchange numbers, nothing, because she's like, oh, I'm not from here, it doesn't matter if I had the best night of my life, it doesn't matter because I'm not from here. And a couple of days later, an incident happens, and her ex-husband starts yell at her and saying like, oh, that's why you're not a good wife, I'm the only one that be there for you, you can't even have children. And he starts yelling at her, and that is something that, and Griffin happens to be there and defends her, and they're filmed, and then they have to start this fake relationship. But it was really good, like total opposite Grumpy Sunshine. Like, I love them so much. The tension there, it was it was good. So the third book in the series, it's called The Ex That I Love to Hate, and this one, it's about Grant and Aspen, and the book starts with both of them at university, and they are paired for this project, and Aspen, being the good student, tried to contact Grant, but obviously he's this rich guy and he doesn't care about school, but she could lose a lot of her grades because of that project, and she looks from here everywhere, and then she starts like yelling at him at the middle of the school, and he's like, whoa, who's this girl? And that it intrigues him. So then he starts to attend class, he does a project with her, and then they start this relationship, and then something happens and they lost contact for like more than 10 years, and she gets offered a job at his company because he's the one that is partnered with Emmett from the first book, so they both own the company, and she happens to fill the job of his assistant. So this is a second chance romance, and it was really good. It was really well done. I didn't like it as much as the two first books. I really liked the first part of the book, but the second part, it wasn't bad, but I liked the first two books better. So this is a 3 stars for me. I then read this book. I've seen it a couple of times, and I've recently seen a picture of it. I don't remember, probably TikTok, and I was like, oh, I want to read this book. So I did, and that is The Roommate by Rosie Danan, and this is about Josh and Clara. So Clara lives in this town. She always had a crush on this childhood friend of hers, and he lives in LA, and he's like, oh, why don't you come and, you know, start fresh in another city, and it will do good for you. So she leaves everything that she knows behind to go after him, and the day that he picks her up at the airport, he's like, oh, at the end I will be doing a tour with my band, and I will be gone for a couple of months. So she's like, wait, I left my whole life behind and you're just going away? He's like, oh, don't worry, you won't be alone. I got you a roommate, a guy that he met in the internet. And that happens to be Josh. And what does Josh do as a job? He's in the adult industry. I will leave it there. It was really good. I really liked it. I loved the character growth in this book. Like, the author did such an amazing job, and it was really, really good. I rated it 4 stars. So after The Roommate, I picked up a series that I started last month, and that is the Swift Hat Trick trilogy. And this trilogy has a series that is kind of interconnected, so it's all part of the same world, and that is the Amateurs in Love series. And the book that I've read, it's Craving the Player by Hannah Kawan, and that is Sierra and Brendan. Brendan, you see him in the other series, and he used to play hockey in university. He has a really close friends. They're kind of a found family, which I really like. And in this one, he meets a girl at the club, which happens to be Sierra. And Sierra, she was cheated on, and his boyfriend slept with his best friend, her best friend. And she went to the club, you know, to unwind and all of that. And there she meets Brendan, and she happens to run into him a lot of the time. And this book has a lot of tension, and I really, really liked it. And the other book, it's Taming the Player, and that is book 2, and it follows the couple. Like, the author could have done a 1 book, but she did like 2 books. I don't really know why, but it follows the same couple, and that is like the mini series. And I've rated both of them 3 stars. I didn't like them as much as the other series, that's why I rated 3 stars, but they were not bad. It just was, or 3.5, yeah, let's read them. 3.5, both of them. And the second book really follows them in another city. Something happens, but you have to read like really the series in order. And after after that book, it's recommended to continue in the trilogy. And the other book is Vital Blindside, also by Anna Cohen. And this one, it's about Adam and Scarlett. Adam used to play hockey in university, and then he opened his own facility. I think that's how you say it. But he helps people train to get better at hockey, even professional players or future professional players. If professional hockey player is injured, you know, they go to him to train and all of that. He has this big company and he's really known. And Scarlett used to play, used to be this really good hockey player, and she was known because she won like an Olympic, but she's really known in the hockey world, let's say. And she injured herself. She didn't keep going with treatment because her mom is sick, and then she decides to go back home. And Adam happens to kind of like telling her like, oh, come to an interview, I would really love for you to train this girl that it's really good, and I feel like you're the perfect one to train her. And the relationships got from there. At the beginning they don't want to because Adam happens to have a son, a 12-year-old son, and she doesn't really want to because obviously he's her boss. And it was really good. I really like this one. I give it a 3 stars. But the first book in this whole series, Crazy Thing, it's Lucky Hit, and there the author tells you in which order it will be better for you to read those books. But yeah, so obviously the first books, those books, obviously the couples, you know, they have kids and all of that. And there's another series about their kids, which is really exciting. And the first book is Her Greatest Mistake, and that is about Maddox and Brexton. Maddox and Brexton are childhood best friends, and they always been friends, and he's always been into her. It was pretty visible, but obviously she never thought he could like her because she's a curvy girl and she's always been insecure about her body, but he didn't care. And we discovered that she also used to really like him, and you know, they grew on all of that. And when they are in high school, they're trying to see if they go to the same place, same school, you know, university, to be together. And Maddox, he plays hockey, and I think around high school or university you get drafted to the NHL, and if teams wants you in their team, they kind of give you an offer or something like that. And Brexton dad happens to be an agent, and you know, something happens there. And 8 years later, something happens and they lost contact. You know, they don't know about each other, they went their separate ways. And 8 years later, Brexton is back in Vancouver, and they run into each other because there's a scandal surrounding Maddox, and at the end they have to fake date. Oh, it was so good. I love it's kind of second chance, It's Always Been You, childhood crush, fake dating. It was so good. I give it 4 stars. Like, I loved it. I really liked it. I feel like it's the perfect way to start a series. After that, I was like, I'm still in a sports romance vibe, and I didn't know, but this book, I've been meaning to pick it up, and it's the second book in the Winding City series. And the first book, it's Mile High, which is this book, and this one, it's one of my top reads of last year. And I was like, the second book can be better, and that is The Right Move by Liz Stamford. It came out on February, I think, I'm not sure. Let me just tell you, I never thought a book could be better than Mile High. And it's not that, this book like makes me forget Mile High. No, I loved that book, but this one, it's so good. It's so good. And this book, it's about Ryan. He's a professional basketball player, and he's the main character's twin brother from the first book with Stevie. He's her twin brother, and Indy is Stevie's best friend. She's a flight attendant, and they're the opposite. Like, Ryan is the biggest, like, he's so serious, he's a loner, he's kind of grumpy, and Indy is this ball of sunshine. And so Ryan, he lives alone. He used to live with his twin sister, but she moved away obviously, and now he lives alone, and he's always alone. It's always Basket, his sister, and now his future brother-in-law, but he doesn't really interact with anybody, and he had a couple of encounters with Indy and they were not good, so he didn't have a good impression of her. And Indy was in a long time relationship and she doesn't have anywhere else to go because she broke up with her boyfriend. She used to live with him, and she has two options. She goes back to her parents in Florida and tries to get a new job, or she stays in Chicago where she's being kind of promoted, I think, and she searched for a place, but obviously everything is so expensive when you live alone. And Stevie asked Ryan if he could lend her the room that she used to be in to Indy. Obviously at the beginning he's like, no, I don't want to, because that is his safe place. Like, his apartment is where he can be like relaxed and just be alone, and he's a loner, so he likes to be alone. And at the end he accepts. You know, he loves his sister, and you know, they became roommates. And he, like I said, he's always focused on Basket, so that makes one of like the managers of the team, he doesn't really like him because he's like, you're the captain of the team and you're not really relatable. You always like Basket, you're always alone, you don't socialize a lot with the members if it's not a Basket. And so he tells the manager that he actually has a girlfriend and they live together, and that is a lie because Indy is his roommate, not girlfriend. So they start to fake date, and I'm obsessed. It's one of my top reads of this year, and I give it a 5-star if it wasn't obvious. It has so many cute quotes, and I already wanted to buy Mile High, like a physical copy, and this one made me want to buy more, and I'm excited for the third book. But yeah, after that I was like, oh, I don't know if I should pick another book, because I was like, after that one I cannot read a better book. But I was like, you know, let's go for it. I was in a kind of a, not really dark romance, but a little more, not really sports romance. And I read this book. It's called Cal, and it's part of a series, and it's by BJ Alpha. And I heard a lot about the third or fourth book, but obviously I like to go in order. And this is about Cal and Lily, and the book starts with Lily receiving a message from her son, her 14 years old son, like there's an emergency, come to the house, and she sees him tied up and there's two men there. So she starts to panic, like, what is happening, what's wrong? Like, her son has like this thing that he's extremely smart and does a lot of hacking and stuff like that. So she starts to panic even more. She's like, what have you done? And then a third man comes in, and that happens to be somebody that she had a fling with, and is the father of her son, and that is Cal. And the story, I know it sounds good, you can read it if you want, you know, give it a chance, but gosh, I did not like this story. Like, her son of hers was annoying. I don't know, I feel like it wasn't done in a good way. Like, sometimes he acted like a 20-year-old guy, and sometimes he acted like a 5 years old. Like, I think the characters had like this sexual connection, but that was really it. Like, I feel like you didn't know really them, and the girl happened like to have so many secrets. I did not like this book. I give it a 1-star. And this is a series, and I think each brother gets a book, and I wanted to see if the second one was better, but I just couldn't. I was like, no, there's no way I'm reading this. So yeah, then I read the 5th book in the Sailor Players Club series by Sarah Kate, and that is Highest Biter, or Biter, I don't know how you say that word, sorry. But I read the first 4 books and I really enjoyed them, and this is the 5th one, and that is about Ronan and Daisy. And these are spicy books, so if you not enjoy them, don't read this. This has a really big age gap, so if you don't like it, I think it's like 35 years of gap. Like, that is a lot if you don't like it. So hello guys, this is future me editing this video. I did not explain well this book in this video, so I wanted to do this
so I will be able to explain it better. But at the beginning of the book, we see that Ronan is met this woman. They found love. They only had like a couple of weeks together, and then they go their separate ways. And like 9 so years later, this girl's Daisy, her mom passed away, and there was like a $1 million like check, I think, or deposit, something like that, and the name from her mom, the check was from her mom, and the note on the check said Ronan Cade or Kane, I don't remember. So she starts to investigate, and she sees that he owns a sex club. So she goes to work there as a waitress, and she's been working there for like 2-3 months. So she's observed him, and seeing like, why would he do that? He's always there, silent. He's not with anybody. So she starts wondering how he knew her mom. And then she kind of picked up that like her mom and him had something, because there was one summer her mom stayed in the city that he is from. She left her whole life behind to go look for this man and see what's going on. And then she makes a bet with one of the waiter that works with her, and she ended up in this club. They do like bets, and she ended up being one. Like it's when people pay, I don't remember if it's for a charity, and the people that pay the most will get a date with her. So at the end, Ronan paid the most, and that's how she really gets close with him and all of that. And I will leave it there, but I really wanted to explain it better because I did not do it in this video.
But it was really good. I give it 3 stars. I didn't give it a 4 because I liked some of the books from the other some of the previous books more than this one, but it was 3.5, sorry. And last but not least, I read a book. It's called Make Me by Summer Otoili. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but this one, I think it's considered dark romance. I'm not sure. So this book, it's about Harlow and Cash. Harlow, at the beginning of the book, we see that in the city that they live, there's a killer, and he happens to have killed like 3 people. And one day Harlow is with her best friend that works in the strip clubs or something like that, and she picks her up, and on their way to the car, they both get like thrown out or something like that. She only hears her friend saying like, be careful, and something happens and her friend got killed, and it was this killer. And then we see her like getting questioned at the police station, and they tell her like, try to remember something, you must have seen something. And the killer didn't get to kill her because the police were coming. He only had time to kill her friend. At the end, she remembers seeing a tattoo of a fox with like a snake in the hand of the person. And Cash happens to be somebody that he happens to be the one with that. A lot of people know him in the city because he owns multiple business. He's part of kind of mafia as well, but obviously he's this clean man. He owns a lot of business, and he has the best lawyer to prove that he's a great man, blah blah blah. And then she decides to take things in her own hands. She starts stalking him, and he knows it but pretends like he doesn't. And she does a lot of things, and at the end they happen to be looking for someone in one of the restaurants he owns. So decides to apply, and obviously to get closer to him, and he kind of become obsessed with her. And let me tell you, this book was so messy. Like, it was so weird. Like, she wanted to get obviously she didn't want to like give in to him and sleep with him or be in a relationship with him, because she was feeling like she was betraying her friend, because obviously he's the killer and she wants to see all of that. At the beginning, I didn't really like it. It kind of picked up at the end, but it wasn't good. It was messy and it was just weird. Like, he was obsessed with her in a weird type of way. I like the sexual tension, you know, that was good at the end. Like, I loved when a man does everything for a woman. I give it 3 stars. Like I said, it pick up at the end. But yeah, that will be all for today's video. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next video, guys. Bye.